Welcome in the Rover Sports, ESPN Philadelphia. I'm here with John Ward, and John, you work at Knoxville.
Josh.
Josh Ward. Josh Ward. So you work in. So what's your station in Knoxville?
WNML in Knoxville, the sports animal, 99.1 sports radio, WNML.com.
So do you guys have co-hosts on that radio show?
Yes, I do a show with Will West, 12 to 3 every day, and John Wilkerson and Jimmy Himes are here at media days as well.
So it's a lunchtime radio show.
Yeah, midday. So we're 5 days a week, and I do a podcast as well. So yeah, very busy here at media days.
Yep, and you don't have to get up I guess you don't have to get up too early, but it's fun, kind of.
Yeah,
12 to 3.
Kind of depends on the day, what's going on. If there's news in the morning, got to cover it. But we'll be doing. We're live 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. at our station in Knoxville. So we're doing reports in the morning here as well, trying to cover it as best we can.
So Josh, did you go to Tennessee?
I did. I graduated from Tennessee in 2007, so a little more than a decade now has passed. It went by pretty quick, but I grew up in Knoxville, went to UT.
So you, that was the last year, that was the second to last year of Fulmer, correct?
Yeah, it was right before. 2008 was his final season at Tennessee as the head coach, and this is the 10-year anniversary of him being given a subpoena at SEC Media Days when it was in Alabama. So, 10 years have passed pretty quickly with Phil Fulmer as the head coach. Now he's back as the AD.
What do you mean by a subpoena?
He was given a subpoena over legal situation in Alabama. So it was given to him. It was a weird day because it was given to him, and there was a question whether he knew that he was served a subpoena. And once he got back to Knoxville, he said, "Yeah, I have it." So it's over a legal situation involving Alabama and their NCAA issues.
Let's get right to this. Let's get right to Butch Jones. A little bit of Jeremy Pruitt. So with Butch Jones and Tennessee, I mean, unfortunately, you could probably. When did you kind of see the end coming for Butch Jones? Was it the year prior?
Well,
was it some of the comments in the post game? I mean,
yeah, I thought his life as Tennessee's head coach was pretty short after the 2016 season. Tennessee was supposed to win the East, did not. Tennessee finished the season with a loss to Vanderbilt. I didn't know if he would have one season or 2 seasons left. I thought that would be largely
the South Carolina game was really tough.
Yeah, it was a bad loss, and really lost favor with a lot of Tennessee fans. And when the 16 season went south, I thought at some point fairly soon a split's going to come, and then with the 17 season last year being as bad as it was, then that was going to be it for Butch Jones. It doesn't matter when, whether it was in the middle or at the end of the season when he would be let go. But even before that, I thought Butch Jones would probably look for another job, because I think for both parties it was time for a split to happen, and Tennessee, of course, was the one to make that call.
So they beat Virginia Tech, and then you're thinking, wow, what a comeback against Justin Fuente, a great coach. But then, no, actually, I'm getting the years confused. Georgia Tech, you were in Atlanta.
Right.
That was a great experience, kind of, but the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed that game. Right. When did Tennessee actually suffer their first loss last year? Week 3, the Felipe Franks game.
Right. The Hail Mary toss essentially into the end zone that cost Tennessee the Florida game. And Tennessee still could have lost that game, but they were going to overtime if that catch is not made and the touchdown scored and a walk-off from Florida.
Sure.
And if Tennessee wins that game, who knows? The season could have very much been different. But the year before, Tennessee had beaten Georgia on Hail Mary, so it was trading Hail Marys, I guess,
a little bit of a comeback.
But Tennessee could have lost to Georgia Tech. It was an overtime game, and Tennessee was able to pull that one off despite its defensive issues, and that was really kind of maybe a sign of what was to come in a lot of ways. And Tennessee had struggled the last 2 years. Pretty badly on defense.
So, Josh, I want to ask you the exciting topic, and I like talking to guys like you, Josh, because sometimes when you interview coaches, sometimes you'll get some cliche, everybody wants to protect the program. I guess I won't say my personal stance on this, you'll have to guess, but the Greg Schiano situation with the Tennessee fan base,
yeah.
I'll just say it, I actually enjoyed it.
Okay.
Because I live up by Philadelphia. Schiano struggles with offense. A lot of people in the mainstream media thought it was, inappropriate or abnormal for Tennessee to complain about Schiano. But just talk about the fan base, because you guys have been through Butch Jones, Lane Kiffin, Dooley. I mean, was that just kind of all the frustration coming to the forefront there, that whole day, that whole Sunday? That was a pretty wild time, wasn't it?
Schiano Sunday is what we call it. So, it was a wild one. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know if we ever will. And I don't know how many fan bases would be able to take it to that level, like Tennessee. Tennessee has a very passionate fan base. I thought some fans were over the top, but fans can be over the top with any kind of subject. Overall, I mean, any fan that was upset with the idea of hiring Greg Schiano and voiced that was well within their right. I just, like the painting of the rock. There were a few things that I thought were over the top, but
sure.
I didn't think that Greg Schiano was a good idea for Tennessee. I think he's a good defensive coach. I think he knows football. He did a good job considering what Rutgers football has been. But there are also reasons to be worried about Greg Schiano. I also wondered about the personality fit after Butch Jones had been the previous head coach. I think there's some similarities there. So I didn't think that it was going to work out well for Tennessee. I also wondered, all right, after this happens, where is Tennessee going to be? And now Tennessee has Jeremy Pruitt as the head coach, and we'll see. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to rebuild or build the roster back up to where it needs to be. But that was probably a Sunday filled with many different emotions for Tennessee fans, but many Tennessee fans wanted somebody other than Greg Schiano, and that's what they got. So I would say overall it was a victorious day for Tennessee fans.
And John Currie, in a final effort, tried to go after Mike Leach. Do you think Mike Leach's style would have worked in the SEC? He might actually coach in the SEC someday, but do you think that aerial raid offense can make its way into the SEC, and do you think he would have had some success?
Yeah, I think Mike Leach could have some success. Now, part of that is what's your expectation level? What kind of success are you going to demand? And Tennessee at some point is going to demand championships, maybe not right away with Jeremy Pruitt or whoever would have taken over, but year 2, year 3, year 4, the expectation is built to a championship. I'm not sure that Mike Leach would have gotten there. I think his offense can work anywhere. He can score points against anybody. He's that good of a coach, and he can put his players in the right position. But overall, is he going to have enough talent from a recruiting standpoint to be where Georgia and Alabama are and where Florida might be moving forward? I'm skeptical. I would not have expected Mike Leach to get Tennessee there. It would have been interesting from a sports talk radio standpoint. He would have probably provided a lot to talk about, and there would have been some exciting games. But I'm not sure. We'll never know for sure whether Mike Leach would have taken Tennessee to a championship level. Maybe in the future we'll find out if he can take somebody else there.
We're talking here with Josh Ward. Josh, thank you so much for taking the time. I just wanted to ask you one more question. You've been really friendly with your time here at Rover Sports.
Sure.
Jeremy Pruitt. Hard-nosed, tough football.
Yeah.
What kind of characteristics is he going to bring to Tennessee? What should the offense and the defense look like? And he's already been honest with the media. He's a no-nonsense kind of guy. How do you think that Knoxville is going to receive Jeremy?
Yeah, I think that Tennessee fans and a lot of people around Knoxville have started to embrace Jeremy Pruitt, but there's also going to be that building of the relationship with him and UT people, and that's probably going to take time and will largely be determined on the success, what level he can reach at Tennessee. The defense, I think, is going to take some time as well to build, to get the personnel they need in that 3-4 defense, to create more depth on the defensive line, to find the guys that can be more reliable at cornerback and that defensive backfield. They have a number of players, including Rashawn Galton, to replace from last year in the defensive backfield. That's going to be tough. Jeremy Pruitt's defenses everywhere he's been, at Alabama, at Florida State, at Georgia, have been really good. So Tennessee long-term should expect that to be the case. Offensively, we'll see. I think you'll see more pro-style elements. You might see the fullback this year, which Tennessee fans will welcome. But Tennessee, I think, it's going to be like a lot of teams. It'll spread things out if it has the right personnel at receiver and the right quarterback to trust. But that's probably going to take some time as well.
Probably like USC, right?
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
like
It's similar, a mix of what you've seen at USC, what Jeff Brom's doing at Purdue, because Tyson Elton, the offense coordinator, worked with him at Western Kentucky. But you'll see it, if they have the quarterback to throw the football, you'll see Tennessee throw the ball around for sure. But running the football with bigger backs, like you've seen at Alabama, that's something Jeremy Pruitt wants to.
And Chris really has a chance to win the starting job. Do you really think he has a chance?
Yeah, he has a chance. I think it's a legitimate quarterback battle. I would give a slight edge to Jarrett Garantano going in, but again, I think it's a legitimate battle. I think it's a dead heat going in. Both quarterbacks, Garantano and Christ, offer different advantages or different strengths to the offense, and I think it's which quarterback the coaches trust and which quarterback they think can make plays or make the fewest mistakes.
And this year, you just want to see improvement. You want to see toughness. I loved what Pruitt said. He said he wants Tennessee fans to feel like it's their team. So you want to see some more competitive games. Even when they play Alabama in the crosstown game, you want to see just improvement this year.
Yeah, no doubt. That starts, I think, in August, because in the spring they didn't have everybody out there either because of injury or some guys that are still coming in. So Darren Kirkland Jr., Daniel Batuli back from injury at linebacker, Emmett Gooden, a newcomer on the defensive line, Jeremy Bakes and Mondre London at running back, of course Keller Christ. Those guys are thrown into the competition. Brandon Kennedy on the offensive line. Tennessee's going to look a lot different than it did just 3 or 4 months ago during the spring.
Josh Ward, incredible stuff, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining Rover.